This video is for general educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research before making investment decisions. So far in this series, we've looked at what call options are, what put options are, how option prices are determined, and how to choose an expiration date and strike price. But there's one important piece of the puzzle we haven't covered yet. Who is selling these options? Every option contract has two participants. Someone buys the option. Someone sells the option. Without a seller, there would be no option for someone else to buy. Understanding both sides of the trade is one of the biggest steps towards understanding how the options market really works. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some investors buy options, why others sell them, and why each side has completely different goals. Think of an option contract as a legal agreement between two people. One person wants the right that the option provides. The other person is willing to accept the obligation in exchange for being paid. The buyer pays a premium. The seller receives that premium. The stock exchange sits in the middle to ensure both parties meet the terms of the contract. One option contract always has both a buyer and a seller. Neither can exist without the other. Let's quickly recap what happens when you buy an option. When you buy a call option, you're buying the right to purchase 100 shares at the agreed strike price before the option expires. When you buy a put option, you're buying the right to sell 100 shares at the strike price before expiration. Notice one important word, right. The buyer has a choice. If exercising the option makes financial sense, they can choose to exercise it. If it doesn't, they simply let the option expire. This means the buyer's maximum loss is limited to the premium they paid. That's one reason many beginners start by buying options. They know the most they can lose from the beginning. Now, let's look at the other side. Instead of paying the premium, the seller receives the premium immediately. In return, the seller accepts an obligation. If the buyer decides to exercise their rights, the seller must honor the contract. You'll often hear people refer to selling an option as writing an option. These terms mean exactly the same thing. Selling an option doesn't mean you're selling something you already own. It simply means you're creating a new option contract and accepting the obligations that come with it. One way many investors think about selling options is to compare it with an insurance company. When you buy car insurance, you pay the insurance company a premium. Most years, nothing happens. The insurance company simply keeps the premium. Occasionally, an accident occurs, and the insurance company has to meet its obligations. Option sellers work in a similar way. They collect premiums today. They're hoping the option expires without being exercised. If that happens, they simply keep the premium they received. Of course, just like an insurance company, they must be prepared if the unexpected happens. Let's look at selling a call option. Suppose you sell a call option with a strike price of $50. The buyer pays you a premium. If the share price stays below $50 until expiration, the option expires worthless. You keep the premium. Nothing else happens. However, if the share price rises well above the strike price, the buyer may choose to exercise their right to buy the shares. As the seller, you must honor that agreement. We'll explain exactly how this works when we cover covered calls in a later video. Selling a put option works in the opposite direction. Again, you receive the premium immediately. If the share price stays above the strike price, the option expires worthless. You keep the premium, but if the share price falls below the strike price, the buyer may choose to exercise their right to sell shares. As the seller, you may be required to buy those shares at the agreed strike price. At first, selling options might sound strange. Why would someone accept an obligation? The answer is simple: income. Many experienced investors aren't trying to predict massive share price movements. Instead, they're happy collecting option premiums over and over again. Think of it like owning a rental property. Most months, you simply collect rent. Occasionally, something unexpected happens, but over time, those regular payments can become an important source of income. For many investors, option premiums are simply another form of cash flow. Selling options can also involve greater risk than buying options. Remember, the buyer has rights, the seller has obligations. Some option selling strategies are relatively conservative. Others can involve significant losses if they're not managed correctly. For beginners, it's important to understand these risks before selling any options. That's why we'll introduce the safer strategies first before moving on to more advanced techniques. Every option contract has two sides. The buyer pays a premium to receive a legal right. The seller receives the premium in exchange for accepting an obligation. Neither approach is automatically better. They simply suit different investing goals. Understanding both sides of an option contract is one of the most important concepts in options investing. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. It costs you nothing, but it really helps support the channel and allows me to continue creating practical investing videos for beginners. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.